Like a bar guest to the face, we appear seemingly out of nowhere. Welcome to After Dawn, the show where we sit down to have a cup of coffee with the cast, crew, and creators behind Hallowhaven Studios Productions. I'm Bookkeeper, one of your two mighty co hosts, along with the indispensable Latte.
Hello. Today, we're here to talk about episode 1 of The Witcher Bed of Roses, Never Forget, which went out live to the world Friday, June 14th. Joining us today is the Witcher herself, Legacy, player of Brynhilder, and Elder Bay, Bloodied Porcelain, player of Nienna.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. How are y'all?
Good.
Yeah.
It was a fun session.
It was a really fun session. Despite all of my medical problems going into it. It was a lot of fun.
Oh
yeah. Brynhilder had a little case of strep throat, so
you're just trying to do the serious voice.
No. Unfortunately, this is just how I sound whenever I'm sick. So you're gonna be at my prime.
Fantastic. Well, first off, for people just jumping into the Bed of Roses for season 2, could we perhaps get both of you to introduce yourselves and tell us a bit about the characters you're playing and why they should go back and see season 1 for what cool stuff you did there?
Do you want to go first, Legacy?
You can go first.
Okay. Hi. I'm Bloodied Porcelain, and I play Nienna, the Ancient Sorceress. For those who are not familiar with The Witcher, Ancient is one of the types of elves that exist in the Witcher universe. It's the primary type. They are in a large portion of the world not seen as equal to humans. They're usually pretty discriminated against pretty heavily. Which, in the same parts of the world, being a sorcerer, it gets you very similar treatment. In Nilfgaard, where the story actually takes place, however, elves are, for the most part, given full rights to humans, and but sorcerers are kept kind of under control. They're basically managed by the monarchy and the government, and if for whatever reason they decide that the sorcerers are getting too big for their britches, they get poisoned with Dimiterium and kept under control that way, which messes with their ability to channel chaos, which is the source of magic. You should go back and watch season 1 because it has a ton of stuff about all of us, but really has a lot of tie-ins to Nienna's backstory. We get to meet her mentor. We get to go on a rollicking whirlwind of a story through the ups and downs of that relationship and Nienna learning to be a person without him in her life.
And I'm Legacy. I play Brynhilder the Witcher. She is a witcheress, as they call women witchers, which are very rare. What a witcher is they are monster hunters who are who basically go through a rigorous training and then have to basically take a major test via internal transformation, where if you pass, then you become a witcher, and if you fail, you die. It is very rare. Yeah, just a little simple pass or fail. It's fine. The test is done to witchers and training as like children. So it's basically like if you've got the blood to pass, that you're good, and you get to learn how to be a badass with like swords or daggers or stuff. And if not, well then, well, you know.
You are beyond caring.
Yeah. Witchers have access to a minor form of magic known as signs. The different signs do various things. Like she can set shit on fire. She can have like a minor control over people's emotions. She can do magical wards and a bunch of various other stuff on top of being able to create things like oils or potions that help her take down various different types of monsters. Um, she's a master of the sword, which is so fun. And back in season 1, you didn't really find out a whole lot about Brynhilder until like towards like the very end, where she had to fight somebody who is very important to her. I don't want to get super into the details, but you should watch season 1 if you just want to see a buff sword lesbian. It's Pride. I can say this.
You can say it whenever. It doesn't have to be
Right.
Pride.
It's Pride, so I'm gonna say it. Shout it from the rooftops. Asterisk.
There's also a little bit of a awkward will they won't they romance.
Yeah, between a couple of people.
No spoilers, but the flower scene is great.
The flower scene is fantastic, and I think that you should watch season 1 just to watch me Legacy awkwardly flirting with BP. Not her characters, just me.
Awesome.
A major
And
theme-
there's no awkwardness in our real life flirting. We just make our partners go, "I'm right here."
Absolutely.
A major theme of this last episode was responsibilities and the new chances that we take in life. How do you as players feel about your characters' new positions, and how are they dealing with the stresses that come with them?
I'm nervous. Nienna never wanted to be a noble in Nilfgaard. She was happy being a sorcerer and being mostly a place of advisement, but not having to be in charge. And now she's been thrust into a leadership position that she never asked for. But she and I both recognize that it's really more, it's less of a promotion and more of a cage. The Emperor has put her into a position that ensures that he has direct access and control to her and her livelihood. So it's fine. I'm sure that nothing could go wrong, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, what could possibly go wrong?
Also, the added awkwardness of the fact that now everybody that was an equal and a companion in season 1 is now a subordinate that whose salary she pays is awkward.
Yeah. I mean, with Brynhilder, it wasn't necessarily like a change of responsibility. It was more of a shift. Because she was a noble's witcher, and now she's a noble's witcher. So,
it was a
not much
lateral
has changed.
movement.
Not much has changed.
Change in management, that's all.
Yeah, exactly.
New company, same job.
Yeah. They pass Brynhilder around like a basketball at that court, so it's fine.
The biggest change you find? Well, my noble now gives me funny feelings inside, but other than that, I'm fine.
My noble looks up to me, literally.
I mean, that didn't change.
No.
The last one did too.
Yeah.
Most people look up to Brynhilder. I think Phoenix is the only one who doesn't.
Yeah, we see eye to eye. Oh.
So rolling back from that moment to the pre-time skip, a question for both of you. How certain were you in that moment of that initial meeting with the Emperor that at least one of you was going to die?
Oh, I mean, if
Or-
we're talking about like at the end of last season, I didn't think that I was going to die. I wasn't sure that Nienna was going to be a playable character after last season, though. I was worried that she was gonna get carted off to the capital.
Yeah, I mean, it's always like a 50-50 with Witchers. I- from what our storyteller has made clear, she's got some form of like respect and notoriety within Nilfgaard, but it's never a guarantee when you are a Witcher because a lot of them tend to think of you as a monster anyway. So, um, it was kind of a toss up. I had a backup character prepped just in case, but it's always a good thing when you're not hit with a we need new art for you in the middle of a dead zone season. So
Yeah, we've all had the discussion behind the scenes of because the system can be so deadly, because a character can become utterly unplayable pretty quickly in a combat that if it goes poorly. Who's gonna play who is gonna play what as backup characters? So
it's all bards.
no, absolutely not.
Well, now, it certainly sounded during the session like Phoenix was pretty sure he was just going to die there.
Yeah, Grizz was pretty stressed out because he came out of that portal in full-on werewolf form, and werewolves aren't supposed to be able to control their shift, and they're they're considered monsters and usually get cut down pretty fast.
Usually get the Witcher treatment.
So Grizz was from what I understand, pretty worried between seasons, and he had every right to be. But like in session, Phoenix was actively pushing the envelope, and it was like he was trying to get himself killed by just being fucking rude to the Emperor.
They did call him the White Flame who dances on the graves of his enemies for his dancing style.
Right, exactly.
So then, if like a historical hypothetical, if you will, if the Emperor goes off with Wolfie Boy's head, what do your characters do in that moment?
Well, Nienna's a sorcerer, so she already recognizes that to some degree she's kind of a second-class citizen, so she doesn't do anything. She stands quietly and politely and cries later when the Emperor's gone.
Yeah. And let's be honest, the Emperor is going to probably issue Brynhilder that command.
Indeed.
Because she's the Witcher. Which is also I'm actually kind of surprised that it didn't come up of like, you're a Witcher, that's a werewolf. Why haven't you taken care of that problem already?
Because he keeps trying to set me up with people.
Yeah. Yeah, you see your otter or your emperor, whatever. He's a werewolf, yes, but he's also the matchmaker, like from the Fiddler on the Roof. That play will come out for another like so years, but he is Yentl.
He's my wing. He's my wing wolf.
I'm telling Grizz you said that. That's amazing. I yeah, no, I don't think that there's anybody in the party that would have stepped in to try and stop it from happening. I'm pretty sure that that one of the main reasons why Grizz pushed as hard as he did is he knew that Saul wasn't going to off him in episode 1. But if he keeps being rude, he might end up dead pretty quickly.
Yeah, we're gonna wait till episode 2, so we can reestablish everything first.
Like
We had
Nienna did her best. She tried to like step in and make it clear that he was needed and thus, they should leave him alive. And he was just like, "No, I'm just gonna keep being rude to this man's face." And I'm like, "What is going on?"
Why are you like this?
Right?
You mentioned being viewed as a monster. Both of you as players, like when you're at the table, are you more intimidated by a monster that has like a really bloodthirsty lore that's really fleshed out in the universe? Or is something that's more ethereal, like the demons, when Saul mentions that there isn't a lot of lore that kind of has that scaffolding for how they work?
I'm more scared by the demons.
Yeah.
Because there's so little information, which means that Saul just kind of gets to do whatever he wants.
Right.
There's so few like confirmed demons in the world, and there's a lot of just, well, they think maybe this particular being is a really, really powerful demon, like Gontar O'Dim. Is suspected to be like just a super stupidly high power demon, and that's concerning. So the fact that there are demons involved now is like, I'm like, this isn't this like season 5 material? Why are we dealing with this already?
Season 2 is where he wants to kill us all.
I mean, I've told him that even if he does kill us all, I'm just gonna make him run another Witcher game because I fucking love this universe in this game. So
No, but I definitely think that demons are a little bit scarier because, you know, o- o- the job of my character is to know what we are fighting, is to know the anatomy of what we're fighting, to know like its weaknesses, how to best take care of it. That's fine with a monster, because she can study the monster. She can learn the anatomy. She can learn the weak points of it. A demon is different, because there's not a whole lot about them, like BP said. So there's not a whole lot that she can study and understand. Um, it's one of those things where a witcher's going to be successful based on the knowledge that they have, um, prior to the fight. Um, where things like neckers are very common and drowners are very common because those are things that you just happen to see a little bit more of in the world. Um, I would rather take down 100 drowners that I know something about than 2 demons who I know nothing of. Because pinpointing out a weakness on a necker's a lot easier than pinpointing a weak point on of a demon who have enough autonomy on their own to be able to hide their weaknesses.
demons also seem to kind of like, they seem to be designed to hit you where you live.
Yeah.
Which is you know,
My demon lives in my head rent free. By God, I want to evict him.
Well, speaking of what's going through your mind, question for Legacy. So when Solomon threw that bar guest at Bryn and Phoenix, what immediately went through Bryn's mind?
Silver. Uh silver sword. Because again, Barguests are just monster enough to where she would have some form of knowledge on them. Um, and I think that the first part was, oh, it's attacking me, therefore there's something wrong with me. Um, because they like to attack things that are cursed. So the moment that it started going after Brynhilder and not Phoenix, she was like, oh, okay. So it's me. I'm cursed. um, which is now starting to like So it's a okay, I'm cursed, but I need to be able to take I need to be able to survive. So I'm gonna see how many hits it takes for me to get to the center of a Bargus pop. The answer was 40 and some change. And I think that's kind of how it is though with every type that the parties come in contact with, like something that we've had to take down. Um it's okay, how do they find us? What's wrong with us? We got to take it down, and rinse and repeat. But when it's ethereal like that and it has an obvious target, uh, that's when it gets a little bit dodgy.
That moment when you discover it's not just the negative self-talk anymore.
No, it's the actual demons in my head.
Now, follow-up question: when Solomon threw that Barghest at you, what went through Legacy's mind?
Fuck you, Saul.
I've been on the receiving end of that fuck you moment. My players used to say that to me all the time at Wayfair.
No, we would go, what the fuck, BP? No, we when he threw that Bargus at me, I was like, "Oh, you little," because he knows I know a lot about the lore of The Witcher. It's one of my favorite series, video game and television wise. I want to pick up the books at some point because I hear that they're phenomenal.
They are.
But so I knew instantly what he was doing when he had that thing attack me, and I was like, "Oh, you little fucker." Internally, externally, I was like, "I love this. Thank you for abusing me, storyteller. I'll remember this later."
Thank you for perpetuating the cycle of violence.
Feed into it. Feed the machine.
Do either of you find it hard not to metagame with your knowledge of the Witcher universe?
Yeah, that tends to be why my questions to Saul are less "what do I know about this" and more "do I know that this is blah blah blah." Because if Nienna knows something for certain, that helps me make a more informed decision on how to roleplay. And if she doesn't know, I know to shut up. I haven't finished any of the games. I have played all three to some degree, but I haven't finished any of them. I have, however, read all of the books. And I think I've seen all but the most recent season of The Witcher. If Cavill's last season is out yet, I'm not sure if it is. Of the TV show. So yeah, I have moments where I find it difficult. But I also have moments where I have to mute myself because I'm having this "what the fuck, Solomon" moments behind the scenes when he says things and my character isn't present, and I know what those things mean, and I know that my character would know what they mean, but she's not there. So
See, I can get away with it a little bit more because, like I said, it's a Witcher's job to be informative about the world and the monsters around them. So I get to ask that question of what do I know about this monster off the top of my head. Um, uh, that doesn't mean that I don't have those moments where I kind of have to keep myself muted and just be like, I know what this is. What does my character know about them though? What and it becomes like I wish I could just lore dump right in the middle of the stream, but I'm not going to because that would be rude. Fine, I guess I'll let the other elf have a chance.
I had to ask because I know that I would struggle with it.
Yeah.
Because I'm definitely one of those lore dumb people.
Oh, me too. If it is my uh it is one of my many flaws. If you allow me to just sit there and talk about like a subject for hours on end, I will do it and not even realize when people are like annoyed.
that's the ADHD and the tism.
That is my autism. That's my autism trait.
Yeah, I weirdly, I think I know more about the politics and like the general like state of the world than I do about the monsters of The Witcher. Like the monsters are cool, but they've never been like the most interesting part for me. I struggle the same with a lot of settings though, where people are like, "Oh, the monster design is so cool," and I'm like, "Yeah, it is." But have you paid attention to like the world governments at play? Because I want to know what the back and forth and tit for tat between the different nations are. Like that's where the juice is for me, and that may come from having read the books before spending much time with the games or with the show. There's a lot more focus in the books on like the geopolitics of the setting. So I find them really, really intensely interesting. Like I keep track of what mages at the time of the books, because our show takes place after, at least after the game's events are over. But I keep track of like in the books which mages are playing advisor, quote unquote, to which lords, and how that impacts the way the different war scenarios are playing out and who's fighting who and all that, because the mages are deeply and heavily involved in a lot of the politics. So
I think that's a really amazing part of the universe that you guys get to like be a part of, though, is that there seems to be something for everyone in this system. Like if you're into intrigue, or if you're into monster lore, or if you genuinely like Seagren, just want to make a change in the world and be a part of like parts of everything. Was that a major draw when you guys were talking about a season 2?
absolutely, at least for me.
Yeah.
Um,
For me, when it came to season 2, because the political intrigue is very interesting. And it's interesting to see Saul's interpretation of events post the books, post the video games, to see where he thinks that a lot of the politics and like uh economic like turns and everything happen in Nilfgaard, because Nilfgaard is kind of the place um where we've set up shop. Um what does, in his opinion, what does that look like after the events of the stuff that most people know? Because most people know the video game side and the television show side. Maybe so the book side, but I don't think that those are as like readily available for people as like watching commentary of like the games or the television series on like YouTube. Um
yeah,
so
because the books go far beyond
yeah,
like timeline wise what the games do. The games stop at like book 2.
yeah,
And there's like something like 7 or 8 books. It's ridiculous how much content that they haven't even touched yet.
yeah. Um they've they haven't touched a lot of content in the book. I mean, you can only like touch when you're doing a from like a book to like a video game. There's only so much that you can touch on at a given time, because things have to make sense.
Well, they're
Plot
also
like
not pulling from the full novels either. They're pulling from the 2 books that are just a series of short stories.
yeah,
That's what the games are based on. Like they don't even get into like the actual The Witcher novels. They get into the couple of like collection of short story books that he wrote. So, which I imagine probably makes like weaving a more seamless narrative between video games a little bit easier, because you can kind of take the pieces that are provided and kind of put them into the format that works best and fill in the blanks in between, rather than trying to follow a script.
um but I forgot what I was saying. Never
I'm
mind.
sorry. I'm sorry.
No, but watching what Saul does with the world is always fun, and that's what got me excited about season 2. Was I wanted to see like because this was only supposed to be a 1-season show. Originally, we kind of bullied him into season 2. We being BP.
Excuse me, you were the one who convinced him to do it on Fridays and have it be a flagship and not like a sideshow. I was fine with it being a normal show, and you're like, no, it needs to be the flagship. And I'm like, okay.
Mm-mm. You can't pin that on me because you were just as excited for it.
It wasn't like I'm not the one who made the original push for it. When you said I'm gonna try and convince him, I said, okay. Like I'm down for that.
But yeah, I'm just excited to see what happens this season. And I'm also curious to see if this is the final season or if he has more planned for us. So time will only tell.
And speaking of looking into the future, we got to see a really soft and motherly side of Nienna again, with the way that she interacted with Tabitha and Thomas. Are children of her own on the far-flung horizon in the epilogue for Nienna, or is she happy to take care of the kingdom's children?
Well, she does have a certain she does have a certain prophecy hanging over her head about her being a carrier of the elder blood, which kind of implies that at least the prophecy dictates that there needs to be a kid, because that's how the elder blood works, is it gets passed along through genetics. So maybe we'll see. We'll see if she's still with Irileth by the end, if Phoenix and Brynhilder's plotting has managed to home wreck things properly enough that she ends up with Brynhilder, or if she ends up with someone entirely different, because the Emperor may push the subject and be like, no, you're getting married, because of what Nienna doesn't know, but I'm sure anybody who has played the games knows, the Emperor has a vested interest in the Elder Blood and making sure that it continues. So,
welcome to HHS Presents The Witcher Season 4, Polycule of Roses.
I would be down. It would be hilarious and awkward because Irileth gets jealous when he even thinks that Brynhilder might be flirting, which is hilarious because Brynhilder is literally the worst flirter ever. So Brynhilder's version of flirting is to buy Nienna flowers and never tell them that they're from her, so Nienna just thinks that it's decor.
Which is something that the viewers have yet to see. So thank you for the spoilers.
They teach you that in Witcher lore?
Yeah. Absolutely. She's ripping a page right out of Geralt of Rivia's book. Just be like kind of emotionally detached. Find yourself in like a weird situation where you have to pick between two people. Oh wait, no, that's Nienna. Nienna's taking a page out of Geralt of Rivia's book. And meanwhile, Brynhilder took a chunk out of Geralt of Rivia, but we don't talk about that.
Oh my.
Listen, I don't know what you want. Saul said, "Give me the best Witcher you've got," and I said, "Bet," and made her autistic, just like her play herself.
Time has now come for wild speculation. A question for the both of you. Who do you think, and you can answer this in character, out of character, both, whatever you prefer, is behind this subtle magical assault on the company, and why?
I don't know, but I don't know anything about Brynhilder's backstory other than the fact that her mentor's not around anymore. That's kind of all I know. We didn't see a whole lot other than the fact that it was hard being a female witcher. So I'd like to know from Legacy who she thinks it is.
I have a rough idea. Unfortunately, I will not be sharing it with any of you, because it plays into a part of her backstory that I want to keep hidden. But to give people a hint, Brynhilder's not the only witcher in her family.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So
Ominous.
that might come into play at some point. I don't know if it will, but I think that it might have something to do with that, because witchers are into some really weird stuff. And the big part of the first episode was somebody possessing a child to tell Brynhilder to go home. So I think that her little hometown has a huge play into what's going on too. But I don't want to give too much away, because if I'm right, I'll feel like a dick. I also don't know how much Saul wants me to give away, because he's made it perfectly clear that I've got to keep some stuff on the hush hush. So
Signing those Marvel quality NDAs.
yeah, sure, it's him just being like, I've got something planned for you, and me being like, oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, but little spoiler is Brynhilder's not the only witcher in her family line. So if it's what I think it is, that will definitely come into play at some point.
During the
Go ahead. Go.
during the episode when Thomas's eyes turned yellow, I instantly was right back to season 1 in Gondro Dim. I was absolutely terrified.
Yeah. I mean, thankfully, we know that it's not Gontar Dim himself, unless somebody in the party has done something stupid and called him. Which, as Nienna said during the episode, I am sure nobody in this room is that stupid. We only managed to dodge that once. I don't think we're getting a second chance. So I don't think it's Gontar, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. There are plenty of other awful, horrifying possibilities at play, especially where demons are concerned. So, we will see.
Well, here at After Dawn, we ask the hard-hitting questions, the questions people want to know. And so I have to ask, what is the best emotional support animal, and why is it a raccoon?
I'm happy that you said that. It's 100% a raccoon.
Because
Or a
Legacy's
dog.
obsessed with them, that's why.
Yeah, shush. I mean, listen, just because you're right doesn't mean that you have to say it the loud part loud, okay?
Personal feelings. I think the best emotional support animal is a cat, and that's because they lay on you and they purr, and it has healing qualities. And I think that that's like the quintessential emotional support right there. As long as you haven't managed to make your cat hate you at some point, you should be okay.
But think about the number of things that raccoon has no doubt stolen for his young charge. How many little bits and bobs Nienna's just missing?
Oh, I'm aware. I've thought about it, which is why Nienna said he's got to stop letting his little friends loose in the castle, in the keep. She's like, look, I'm happy to give them a tour, but you can't just let them run around on their own, because it stresses out the help.
So much theft and pillage. Related question, what is the most horrifying thing in the universe, and why is it, as Latte noted, yellow-eyed children demanding you come home?
Legacy?
I have a because they're infecting the children. The demons, they're infecting the children. But there's nothing scarier in my opinion than something that could just enter your mind and go ooga booga booga. Especially things that eat that like fester, like sip on dreams. Like they're a little tea party, like you're an emotional tea party, and your mental state is the teapot. Uh, something that is equally as scary, that nobody talks about. There are these giant plant monsters, which I can never quite remember the name of, that are so difficult to kill because you have to be so tactful that if they get their little like tendril like mouth on you, you're good as gone. That's the only thing that I can
Archospores?
I think that's what they're called. I would have to open I'd have to open the book to take a look at them again, but those things are terrifying. That's the only thing that's like in my head, comparable. At least on like a mindless creature, quote unquote way. But don't let me don't let me ramble on about these things.
Why would we want you to talk? This is a talk show.
I know, how dare. Because everybody wants to listen to this voice right now. Just no.
I like the Archospore because like a lot of the other monsters, they're born of something else. Like the Archospores are born from the ill will and like cruelty of criminals.
Yeah.
Which I think is pretty fucking cool. I'm like, who thinks to have like this, intangible, concept be what gives birth to a whole ass monster? That's fucking awesome.
I have to agree with Legacy though. Like there's something about like just this ominous force that can grab you and 5 of your friends and put you in a like almost like a shared nightmare that is just not something I want to mess with.
You and your 5 closest friends get to win this illustrious vacation in the cornerstone of the things that you're afraid of the most.
Isn't that just middle school?
Middle school, puberty.
And before we all start flashing back to awkward years as children.
And on that note, that will wrap it up for this episode of After Dawn. Thank you so much to BP and Legacy for talking with us today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
If you, dear audience, want more of this overcaffeinated and undermedicated dive into the people and plots of our HHS stories, After Dawn comes out every Thursday. If you want that buzz while it's at its freshest and piping hot, come find us on Patreon. For the cost of just a cup of coffee, $5, you'll get all our monthly episodes of After Dawn just as soon as they're ready to go. But they'll appear on YouTube about a month later. I have been Bookkeeper.
And I've been Latte. See you next sunrise for the latest After Dawn.